Hi, and welcome to today's session. My name is Elias Estevao. I am an Azure technical trainer within the Microsoft Worldwide Learning. My goal today is to help you understand the Well Architected Framework from a practical perspective. Review what the framework is, understand the framework pillars, and how to use the framework to improve your overall cloud adoption posture. In today's session, we will introduce you to the Well Architected Framework, give you an example of how to deploy the services within each pillar to improve your posture, and finally, a demonstration of the Well Architected Review tool. The Well Architected approach within Microsoft is a holistic ecosystem designed to help you achieve business objectives. It offers practices, assessments, technical guidance that includes the Well Architected framework itself that helps you design, build, operationalize, and optimize your cloud adoptions. The Azure Well Architected Review provides means to evaluate workloads and identify areas to focus your optimization efforts. Reference Architectures helps you build and deploy any workloads at scale. Design Principles, based on proven practices and design patterns from successful customers and partner deployments. Microsoft Partner and Service Offers are there to support you and help you build effective cloud solutions. Now that you have some understanding of the Microsoft Well Architected approach, let's dive into the framework itself. Microsoft Well Architected Framework enables cloud adoption success. The framework comprises of specific non-judgmental questions that helps you ponder upon 5 areas of your deployment. The 5 principles of the framework consist of cost optimization, operational excellence, performance efficiency, reliability, and security. Cost optimization helps you ask questions to ensure that you are using the most cost-effective resources aligned with your business objectives. Cloud cost model is based on OPEX rather than CAPEX and introduces pay-as-you-go model. How to leverage this philosophy consistently can help you stay within budget. Operational excellence helps you focus on designing reliable, predictable, automated deployments with monitoring, performance management, extensive automation of infrastructure and application deployments. Performance efficiency helps you lower maintenance costs, improve user experience, increase agility, and achieve solutions with the scalability backend. Resiliency is scale out instead of scaling up with expensive hardware. Deploy resilient workload across availability zones and region pairs for highly available applications and services. Security. Build with security in mind to provide confidentiality, integrity, availability assurance against deliberate attacks and abuse of your valuable data and systems. Now you have some ideas about the fundamental principles. Let's dive deeper into each one of the pillars. Let's start with the cost optimization. Are we deploying most cost-effective resources for our solution? To answer that question, we're going to look at scalable cost. Key benefit of the cloud is the ability to scale dynamically. You can save cost through automatic scaling. Choose smaller instances for highly available workloads and scale out to get required level of performance rather than scaling up. Why deploy expensive IaaS virtual machines when you can leverage managed services that are easy to deploy, manageable, scalable, and more cost-effective? You don't need to be right day one. That's the advantage of the cloud service. You can start small and increase capacity as needed. If you over-provision, you can scale down for considerable savings. Operational excellence. Is it manageable with least amount of effort and cost? Design, build, and orchestrate workloads with DevOps principle in mind. Optimize, and optimize. Optimization is never once and done. It's a virtuous circle. Once you're done optimizing, you should go back and optimize one more time. You have been successful in monitoring your on-prem resources. It is time to enrich monitoring, specifically for the cloud, leveraging rich, built-in tools and best practices designed for specific resources and workloads. Build your capability with recovery in mind. Regularly rehearse recovery plans and processes. Refine operational processes and strive to reduce complexity. Learn from failures, don't avoid them. Decouple systems to improve efficiencies, improve supportability, and reduce overall impact. Performance efficiency. Is it performing as expected? Is it meeting SLA? The focus is to design systems to scale independently, automatically, and efficiently. Partition the workloads, avoid client affinity, and distributed workloads, and use independent, self-sufficient nodes with no single point of contention. Reliability. Is my system reliable and redundant? Can it recover quickly from critical faults? Plan for disaster. Anticipate system failures. Design your systems to minimize impact to failures. And plan for quick recovery. Resilience built into the design ensures consistent deployment and helps eliminate single point of failures. Security. Is my deployment secure and compliant? Favor native security controls built into the cloud services to leverage identity-based automations and authorizations for access control. Embrace automation to decrease the chance of risk caused by human errors. Defense in depth, such as least privileges, helps limit damages caused by compromised accounts. Accounts should be granted the least amount of privileges to be required to accomplish their assigned tasks. Assuming zero trust means that all required users, devices, and applications should be considered untrusted until their integrity can be sufficiently validated. Reasonable attempts should be made to offer means to increase trust validation. Trade-offs. When using a well-architected framework, there will always be a trade-off. Trade-off is a judgment call that you will need to make constantly. You may have deployment or solutions that perform well, but that performance will come to a cost. You will have to strike a balance between what your customer really wants and the budget they are willing to dedicate for that solution. There are ways to reduce overall cost of the implementation and keep acceptable performance, but this may not be possible across all environments. There will be many instances where performance, reliability, and security will be judged against cost. Now let's apply the well-architected principles and pillars to our deployment. We'll start with a basic three-tier application architecture. We have an on-prem site connected to Azure via a dedicated link. To connect to the on-prem network, we are using Virtual Network Gateway. Our web farm is front-ended by a load balancer and secured by a network security group. The application segment is also load balanced and protected. And finally, our database tier provides security for our SQL databases. Now let's see how to increase our security, performance, resilience, operationalization, and reduce cost of our deployment by applying the Well Architected Framework principles. We will start with the security. To deploy a perimeter firewall to control inbound and outbound traffic for the virtual machines and subnets, native firewalling capability with built-in availability, unrestricted cloud scalability, and zero maintenance. This will help and ensure that we have a perimeter firewall dedicated to support our workloads. Azure Bastion provides a fully managed RDP and SSH access to our virtual machines, provides secure connectivity and access, and avoid direct exposure to the internet. Azure Dedicated Hosts ensures compliance and data protection and isolation of our workloads, a dedicated physical server to host your Azure VMs or Windows Linux virtual machines. Active Directory. To protect your users, provide secure authentication and secure access to resources, and between resources, you will leverage Azure Active Directory. AD also synchronizes on-prem directories and enables single sign-on. Another way to increase your posture is deploying private links. Private links are secure private connections for specific resources, provide faster, more reliable connection using Microsoft Backbone Network. Storage Access Signatures, or SAS, provide secure delegated access to resources in your storage account with granular control over how clients access your data. Service endpoints provide secure and direct connectivity to Azure services over an optimized route over Azure Backbone Network. Endpoints allows you to secure critical services and resources within your network. Security Center unifies your security management and enable advanced threat protection across hybrid cloud workloads. And lastly, Security Vault. Azure Key Vault is a service to securely store and access secrets. Secrets is anything that you want to tightly control access to, such as your APIs, keys, passwords, and certificates. The next pillar we will try to improve posture will be cost optimization. CAPEX versus operational expenses, or capital expense versus operational expenses, and pay-as-you-go model are typical discussions about cloud optimization, considering costs. Skill sets is a great way for us to improve that posture. Manage scales up to thousands Linux or Windows virtual machines, and pay only for the compute resources that you need. Also using PaaS services. PaaS allows you to avoid expense and complexity of buying and managing software licenses, the underlying application infrastructure, middleware, development tools, and other resources. PaaS enables you to deliver anything from single cloud-based applications to sophisticated cloud-enabled enterprise applications. The best part of it is that you pay only for what you need and only for what you consume. Also, reserving instances. Reservations help you significantly reduce costs up to 72% over the pay-as-you-go price. Azure allows you to save costs on SQL databases, virtual machines, storage, disks, and many other services. The consumption model of the cloud. This model essentially is essentially the same as the utility computing payment structure that you see on utilities such as water or electricity. A consumption-based pricing model is a service provision. The payment scheme is which the consumer pays according to the resources used, so the pay-as-you-go model. a great way to evaluate and use services that you only pay for what you consume. With that cost optimization, by leveraging ecosystems of partners to help optimize your cost. This includes cost analysis, right sizing, database optimization, reservations, spot computing, idle and unused services, and much more. Now that we have optimized our costs, let's take a look at operational excellence, how to improve our overall operational posture. To improve our architecture operationally, we start with template deployment. The easiest way to deploy infrastructure as a code is to leverage the ARM templates. You can deploy several resources together in a single unit. Templates are an obvious way to expedite deployment by making a simple, repeatable, and consistent process. Also leveraging DevOps. DevOps helps you deliver innovation faster with simplicity. It's a reliable tool to continuous delivery. DevOps tools provides end-to-end solutions for planning, developing, delivering, and of course, operating application lifecycle. VM extensions for your virtual machines. Extensions are small applications that provide post-deployment configuration and automation tasks on Azure. Extensions are software components that extend VM's functionality and simplify various VM management operations. Testing. Load test your applications at the expected peak loads to ensure there are no challenges around performance or stability when operating at full capacity or performing various scales. Understand the limits of the services you consume so that you're not blocked if you need to exceed those services. Also, Azure monitoring. Azure Monitor helps you collect, analyze, and act on telemetry data from your Azure environment. Maximize performance and availability of your applications and proactively identify problems. Azure Monitor provides full and detailed view into your application infrastructure and your network. Automation is also a great way to improve your operational excellence. Azure Automation is a cloud-based automation and configuration service that supports consistent management across Azure and non-Azure environments. It includes process automation, configuration management, update management for heterogeneous systems such as Linux, Windows, Azure on-prem, and other clouds. And lastly, Application Insights. Application Insights is an extensive application performance management. It is developed for your DevOps professionals. It uses to monitor your live applications. It will automatically detect performance anomalies using powerful analytics tools to help you diagnose issues and to understand what users are doing with and within your application. Now that you have operationalized your architecture, let's now make it perform efficiently. With the Well Architected Framework, we can improve the performance by using specific tools, such as auto-scaling, for example. By auto-scaling the environment, as we reviewed in the cost optimization pillar, the skill sets allows us to manage and scale up to thousands of Linux and Windows virtual machines. When capacity is needed, systems will automatically deploy to address the load. When the load subsides, we will scale down to reduce costs. Redis Cache improves the performance and scalability of the applications that uses back-end data stores very heavily. It can process large volumes of application requests by keeping frequent access data in the server memory. Redis is a low latency, high throughput data storage and help improve your performance posture. SQL database, SQL Elastic Pools. Elastic pools are a great way to increase efficiency. Pools are a collection of databases within the shared set of resources. Pools are shared by multiple databases to accommodate unpredictable periods of usage by individual databases. With pools, individual databases are given flexibility to auto-scale independently. Under heavy load, a database can consume more resources to meet demand. Database under light load consumes less, and databases under no load consumes no resources. Also, Cosmos DB, leveraging a global polyglot type database. Azure Cosmos DB is fully managed database service with global distribution and transparent multi-master replication. Cosmos DB transparently scale and replicates your data wherever your users are. Cosmos DB is purposely built elastic scale and predictable performance. These capabilities make it for a good fit for applications that need high performance database tiers. Another way to improve your efficiency, performance efficiencies, is using your storage accounts. Azure Storage offers massive scale object store for your data objects, disk storage for your virtual machines, file storage services for the cloud, and of course, message store for reliable messaging, SQL, a NoSQL data store. Storage accounts are durable, redundant, and highly available, designed to be massively scalable and accessible from anywhere in the world over HTTP or HTTPS and mature REST APIs. A great way to improve performance is also using and migrating to app services. Azure App Services is an HTTP-based service for hosting web applications. You can quickly build and deploy your web applications using fully managed platform without the burden of managing infrastructure. App services not only add power of the Azure to your application, such as the security, load balancing, auto-scaling, automated management, but you can also take advantage of the DevOps capability, such as continuous deployment from the Azure DevOps or GitHub. Testing, once again, testing your application and understanding the limits of your services is also a key way to ensure your performance efficiency. Lastly, let's look at reliability. From a reliability perspective, and to improve the reliability posture, we start with availability sets. As we've seen before, availability sets is a feature provided by Azure. It is used to group virtual machines providing the same service to minimize the risk of full interruption when planned or unplanned maintenance is performed. Using availability sets, you are telling Microsoft that a group of virtual machines are used to provide the same service for high availability reasons and should not be down at the same time. Also, availability zones increase your reliability. Availability zones are physically and logically separated data centers with their own independent power sources, network, and cooling. Connected with extremely low latency networks, availability zones ensure that if there is an event impacting a data center, your data will be protected. Also, using zone redundant services. Azure Platform Replication replicates the resources in the data center across the zones. Microsoft managed the delivery and high availability of these services with automatically predictable and distribute these services within the region. ZRS storage, for example, replicates the data storage across the zones so that zone failures does not impact the high availability of your data. App services, again, leverage fully managed, secure, scalable app services, zone redundant. Leverage storage replication, local LRS storage, zone redundant storage, and geo-redundant storage. Each one of those tiers provide you 3 to 6 copies of your data across the region. ZRS will be 3 copies within the same data center. ZRS will be 3 copies across the availability zones. And GRS will be 3 copies across each region. So 3 copies on one primary region and 3 copies on a secondary region. Provides highly redundant availability of your data. Azure Automation process automation, configuration management, increases your reliability, and also using DevOps for end-to-end planning, deployment, and delivery of resources. And lastly, using Azure Monitor. Azure Monitor helps you collect, analyze, and act on telemetry data for your Azure environment. Now that we have covered the well-architected and we understand how to deploy some of the services to improve our overall posture over the 5 pillars, let's take a quick look at the well-architected review. As we discussed, the well-architected review provides us or view the environment through specific lenses of the reliability, cost optimization, performance efficiency, security, and, of course, operational excellence. So the assessment, as I pointed out, are non-judgmental questions. So the well-architected review is truly a web-based survey where we have built in to help you evaluate quality of your workloads across 5 pillars of the well-architected framework. It has a series of questions for each of the pillars, and responses to those questions evaluate the key items needing attention from your successful workload deployment and management. The result of the assessment provides actionable steps to consider implementing to improve the quality of the deployment. You can choose one or more pillars depending on your focus area. And if you choose more than one pillar, you get gauged results for each of the pillars, helping you focus on the areas where your workload needs more attention. The assessment will typically take 25 to 35 minutes to complete, and this is if you choose all 5 pillars. And you can also review these assessments together with your Microsoft team, or you can create the assessment on your own and then contact your representative or your partner to review that assessment with you. So let's take a closer look at this assessment. We'll start by accessing the architecture review at the aka.ms architecture/review. So with the architecture review, I will be posed with an option to start my architecture review. You're going to see where the assessment name, by default, is going to be Well Architected Review, and the date and time to which you started the review. I'm going to change that date. I'm going to call this WAF, Well Architected Framework Review, April 2021. And I'll call this Cost Optimization. That means that I'm going to assess only the cost optimization. Now let's take a look at what questions will be asked on the cost optimization. So we can select cost optimization. These are the cost optimization areas that you are going to be evaluated. Now let's click Next. For the cost optimization, we have a video that describes the cost optimizations in the well-architected framework, and we can then begin the questions. So this is a group of about 10 or so bank of questions that you're going to be answering. There's no right or wrong to these questions. All we're asking is that you answer them to the best of your knowledge to see where you stand on your security posture, or in this case, on your cost optimization posture. For example, cloud costs are being modeled for this workload. So yes, if you are doing this for all of your workloads, I would say yes. The price model of the workload is clear. If you agree with that, you would also check that. Maybe I'm not quite sure yet. Critical systems flows through the application have been defined for all key business scenarios. Again, for each one of these questions, you're going to answer to the best of your knowledge, and then at the end, you will be posed with your assessment. I am not going to complete this assessment on each one of them because this will take quite a bit of time, and I don't have a true statement at this point. So I'm going to just click Next so you can see the next bank of questions. But once you are completed with your assessment, notice here I have 9 bank of questions. We completed 1. When that assessment is completed, we'll have a full assessment ready for review. I'm going to pause here and return to our presentation so we can continue the session. But this should give you a perspective of the well architected review. Once you're completed with the review, you go back to your assessments. And in the assessment area, on the bottom, you see your assessments. From this assessment, you can continue any assessment that you have started, or you can review the status of any completed assessments. Any assessments you complete will be in this area. At any time, you can add additional milestones to your assessment, and you can also implement or add additional areas, additional pillars, or you can delete any of the assessments you have created. Now, because these assessments are quite granular, you may want to ensure that only certain people have access to that. So for that, there is a sign-in option that you can sign into your account to ensure you can collect the data from your resource groups, to validate the data against your milestones, and also log in to your Azure environment. In this case, that will provide you a specific access to this area. You may not want to have everyone with access to these assessments. All right, returning to the presentation, another area that I want to discuss with you about the Well Architected Framework is the resources and applications to help you. Now that you understand the Well Architected Framework, the pillars, and how to deploy certain services to help you with the increased posture, let's discuss some additional resources to help you on your success. First of all, taking the assessment. The Well Architected Review will help you review your posture, what areas of focus you should address, and how to improve that assessment. Read the documentation, the Well Architected Framework documentation, readily available to you in a particular location, so in this case, part of the Architecture Center. Complete the training. There's also the Well Architected Learning modules in our Microsoft Learn. Review the design principles in our Architecture Center, and also browse the reference architectures. Learn from other customers that have already deployed these workloads successfully. Engage partners to help you with your assessment and also help you with your deployment. And finally, find services and offers with our Microsoft consulting team. Thank you for attending this session today, and I look forward to having you on other sessions as well.